What's happening, people? We're back for the final piece in our Classical Days journey. I want to say how much I've enjoyed this, how much I appreciate those who have been commenting, and a number of folks who show up in some different deep dives and regular band/artist journeys I've been taking have been commenting this week, some even providing some insight as to their own associations with the pieces, as well as a few suggestions for future classical reactions. I am greatly appreciative. But as promised on day one, we're going to end this journey with a Beethoven piano sonata, and we're going to listen to one of his more famous sonatas. Now, I'm going to call it Beethoven's 14th piano sonata, Quasi una Fantasia, which I believe was the original designation, which is further to say this is most popularly known as the Moonlight Sonata, and I think it's fair to call it that, but one must stipulate that that name came posthumously, meaning it didn't come from Beethoven himself. There was a German, I want to say, a writer, a music critic who gave it that title, and I think it's very apropos. We certainly get a sense of a night sky, a bright moon, and someone who is in their thoughts and feelings in that environment with this sonata. But again, it was not called that by Beethoven, so it's fair to specify. In any case, we're going to listen to the first movement here, and this is once again taken from the CD of performances, or rather with the pianist, by Daniel Barenboim, or who is Daniel Barenboim. And shout out to Michaela, she actually sent me a clip of Barenboim conducting. I didn't realize when I've had this CD now going back multiple decades that he wasn't just a pianist but also a conductor, so that was insightful and intriguing to learn. But yes, the first movement is Adagio sostenuto, which means slowly, and sostenuto, as I explained in a previous reaction in the last couple days, means to play in a way that bridges the notes together so it feels continuous and a constant flow, which is to say nearly the opposite of marcato, which I understand to mean to play each note and chord like individually as its own distinct and discrete entity. So yes, this is slowly and continuously, and of course this opening movement is one of the most famous pieces in classical music. It's in pop culture, it's used in any number of films and TV shows, commercials. It is a very recognizable piece even to those who are not specifically into classical music. So let's give this wonderful movement a listen. This is Beethoven's Piano Sonata number 14, which, as I said, was subsequently titled the Moonlight Sonata, and the first movement is Adagio sostenuto, and this is performed by Daniel Barenboim. Sublime. I think that is the perfect word to characterize that movement. Just utterly sublime. Definitely melancholic, but also pensive, thoughtful, atmospheric, and in the end, precisely sublime. So, of course, it has a slow pace by design, but it also feels like it does travel a great distance by the time we get to the end. Someone who, perhaps under the moonlight of a nighttime sky, maybe walking by a body of water, as shown here, has had time to sufficiently consider their condition, their status, their state, their feelings. That's the image and scene that my brain paints when hearing this. And knowing that it was seen as something like a fantasy in Beethoven's original articulation of the name of the piece, I certainly can feel like we're somewhere between reality and a dream, or indeed a fantasy. So yeah, an incredible movement, one of the all-time great movements in classical music, and I think that is again indicated quite clearly by the way it has entered pop culture and people's minds who are themselves not particularly interested in classical music. So yeah, just a remarkable movement, sublimely and subtly played by Daniel Barenboim, so shout out to him, and we'll be right back for the second movement. Peace.